Bears against the Texans here. So this opened at 7, now sitting at around 6.5 in the market currently. But you can see here, it just jumps off at the screen at you. Our model absolutely
Yeah.
loves the Texans. Now, caveat, and Seth, give some context or some color here too, but
Yeah.
you never really have the edge that you think you have, or
Yeah.
that you are calculated to have. So although our model loves Texans in this spot, and I personally love them as well, and it's a play officially for us, to
Yeah.
spoiler
No, it is a
alert it.
play.
But yep, yeah, someone talk the good people out of just absolutely hammering the Texans, please.
Okay, well, I'm not going to talk you out of not hammering this Texans. They're still 6.5. So I think it's a good bet. It's not quite number, we'll say, and I'll talk to you about some of the nuance. So in our model, one of the ways that we gain an edge is we model quarterback data and quarterback situations. And one of our edges that we get is how do we look at rookie quarterbacks? And we have an average effect for rookies. And we kind of put them in this bucket for their first 12 starts. So first 6 starts home, first 6 starts away. What happens after those starts is quarterbacks basically become their own category or their own quarterback, let's say. So CJ Stroud becomes his actual self versus being in a rookie bucket. What happens in that real early that part of after you have 7 home games and 7 away games is that you have a really small sample size in your games. So in this case, CJ Stroud has 9 home starts. So that means he has 2 effective starts as himself at home. What this causes is quite a lot of noise because he dominated in those 2 games. And so it looks like he's super duper duper efficient. So we can kind of massage the numbers and say, okay, well, what would he look at? What would he look like using all of his data? What would he look like if he was still a rookie? And then what would he look like given the number we make here? If you use that and then average those, we get a number something like 9. So still a really, really, really high expected value and edge bet, especially at the 6.5, but not quite as the 18% would say here. And so that's some of the nuance. I do believe this does close at 7, whether that's square or not. And to me, this is really interesting from the data because these teams aren't actually all that different if you look at their EPA per play. Houston's the 11th defense. Chicago's actually the 8th overall defense. And then on offense, we're actually looking at the 18th offense for Houston, and we're looking at the 20th for Chicago. Now, this is over the last 15 games. But the thing that stands out to me is quarterback play. Again, something that we think is really important, something that's in our model and drives our model, is we're looking at CJ Stroud is top 10 in expected points added. And when we look at the rookie quarterback, it's and he's 10 points better or adds about 10 points per game over his career. He's done that. The average for a rookie is negative 0.18 points. So this is where you're getting a lot of the value. It is the quarterback play. It is what CJ Stroud can do even against good defenses. And he did that a fair amount last year. He struggled in some games, but actually, if you go back and look, when he played the elite defenses, is if those elite defenses weren't accompanied by an elite offense, he dominated them. We're talking Browns. We're talking Jets. I think Jets is the one where he got dominated, but every other defense that he went against, he dominated. And I think it's going to be the same thing here. You're looking at quarterback play. You're looking at CJ Stroud to kind of lead you to the promised land with this bet.
Okay, Steve, let me know what you think, because last week, we're short the Bears for the season long, right? We got their under win total, but this is a team in week 1 that scored on special teams. They scored on defense, and they inevitably won, and they covered even because of those factors, So that type of stuff, how much that carries over week to week, that's highly variable. Not something you can count on week to week, basically. So what, in your mind, based off what you heard Seth say and everything else, what fighting chance does Chicago have here?
Now, I had a quick question. If good teams win, but great teams cover, and the Bears covered, what does that make them?
Great team.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen,
flawless logic, frankly.
Yeah. If you can't tell by now, I'm the resident Bears fan in the group here. So what you're looking at here, right? You talk about the quarterback play, and I think that's really where this is going to hinge on, right? Yes, the Bears came back from a 17-point deficit to win that game, but Caleb fully played like a rookie. And I know all the media hype was on him all year long. But I think if you talk to anybody that actually watches football, like you saw this coming. I mean, he had a QBR of 23.5. CJ Stroud had his like 78.6 or something like that. I mean, like you're looking at different levels of play, and you expect Caleb to continue to struggle until he kind of finds his footing. In the meantime, can he rely on a run game with a pretty deep running back core in Chicago and the defense to kind of hold him through? And that to me is going to be the make or break thing in this matchup is can Chicago's defense contain CJ Stroud, and can Caleb Williams play well enough to effectively be a game manager and not be a superhero? Now, with that being said, I am, this is one of our plays you're going to hear us say, a couple more times here. And reluctantly, I am on this bet, one for the model, but two, because I do believe it's a good bet. One of the things I would look out for is Rome Odunze. So he has an MCL sprain. He's week to week. He's questionable as of right now. And Keenan Allen re-aggravated that foot injury. Now, he's expected to play, but I mean, at 35, that re-injury risk is pretty high. And he's already kind of, had that linger a couple of times, over the last year. So if one or both of these guys are significantly hindered or out, Caleb's in trouble. Caleb's in trouble, and this team is absolutely one-dimensional, which spells nothing but doom and gloom for the Chicago Bears. So I think 6.5 is great. Taking off my Bears fandom hat and whatnot, kind of getting back to giving you guys good advice. 6.5 is a good number. I think 7 is as far as you realistically should go, unless you see some of these injuries, because this has the ability to either be a close game or it could be an absolute blowout if Chicago is not up to par on offense and not healthy on offense.
You couldn't be more right. The moment you've moved through that one possession game at 6.5 and you go to 7, you plummet your EV. Now, we already talked about we don't actually make this game 11. It's probably somewhere around in the 9.5 to 8.5 is probably the true line that we would make it. So I agree. I wouldn't touch this. I would point out though, depending on when you're seeing this, like there's only one 6.5 at the market maker. The other two are at 7, if I'm not mistaken. The moment that gets bought at Circa, it's all going to 7. So say goodbye to this bet. So I wouldn't be waiting for injury. You want to make this bet before that injury. The moment one of those guys is ruled out, this is going to 7.5, and there's no more value. So
you are correct. Bookmaker, Pinnacle, both hanging a 7. Circa only at 6.5.
Circa's the one saving you. So ask yourself why. Why? Right? Someone's probably bet this at a pretty low limit to get it down to 6.5, so that tomorrow or Thursday, when they can get down 50 grand, they're going to hit this with a 7 for at the 6.5 to move to 7. So I would caution you to wait. Yep. If you agree with it. Maybe you're a Bears delusionist, but we think it's a really good bet. This is I don't even want to hate on the Bears. I just want to bring it back to this point. We talked about this in the season preview. These kumbaya, everything is just going to go your way. Like everything's just going to go into place. You're just going to flawlessly pick the number one talent that's ever come through. It's a no-brainer. No one's going to get injured. You're just going to fly through the season. That is exactly what does not happen in the NFL. It is literally the average outcome is chaos, not chaos, right? And this is a good example. Already, their number one two wide receivers are potentially out or at least are questionable in going into this game. And you had what do you throw 100 yards in the first week? I mean, that's what the NFL is.
93, if I believe. Yeah, 93, 100.
Steve had to fact check you on that one for sure. I knew he knew, but yes. No, point well taken, man. And I don't know. If it does get to the 7, I'll be fascinated. Probably will at that point. We'll probably have to do with injuries, and maybe one or two of both of those guys will be limited and or out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in that one.